Hey guys, this is Chris Monk, owner of Highline Guitars, and you're watching episode 36 of From the Luthier's Workbench. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I want to do an update for the, this is my fret tang nipping attachment, which I made for my Dremel, and I've made some modifications to it, and I'm going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about a technique which I've come up with for generating those rounded hemispherical fret ends that have become so popular. In the past, luthiers have had to use some filing techniques to create those rounded fret ends, and while that works fine, it can be really slow and time consuming. So I've come up with another technique that uses my Dremel, and I'm going to share that with you. But first, let's get into the update on my fret tang nipping attachment. Okay, so a quick update on the fret tang nipping attachment that I made for my Dremel. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch episode 35, and that's where I talk about how I made it and how it works. But what I've done since then is I've added a depth stop, and this just consists of a piece of 1 inch wide, it's about 1.5 inch long, and about 1/8 of an inch thick piece of rosewood. And what I did was I drilled a hole towards the front of it, and then cut out a slot with my bandsaw. And this allows me to slide it back and forth. And I've got 2 lengths of number 6 threaded rod, one in the back here and one up front here with a wing nut. The one in the back just serves as kind of a guide, keeps it straight. And I can move this back and forth and then tighten down the wing nut. And then what this does is it allows me to control exactly how much of the tang I'm removing. I can just slide the fret in, and then it hits the bit and grinds off the tang, and then once it hits that depth stop, it won't go any further. So I can remove the exact amount of tang from each end and from every single fret that I'm doing. The other change that I've made is with the bits that I'm using. In the last episode, I suggested using a Dremel 7123 diamond-coated grinding bit. This bit works reasonably well with nickel silver and stainless steel, but it does tend to wear out pretty quickly. So if you're going to use one of these bits, I would suggest you pick up 5 or 6 of them. Buy them in bulk if you can. They're, like I said, they're fairly inexpensive, so you can buy a bunch of them reasonably cheap. But you're going to have to keep an eye on it as you're using it, because it will wear out. An alternative is the Dremel Model 9901 tungsten cutter, and this bit seems to work really well. It grinds off the tangs from nickel silver and stainless steel equally well. And the nice thing is it seems to last a long time. I just did 24 frets, and I can't see any wear on the end of the bit. So this is probably a better way to go. It's a little bit more expensive than the diamond bit, but it's going to last a lot longer, and you don't have to worry about changing bits so frequently. So that's it with the update on the fret tang nipper. Now I'm going to talk about a new way of creating those little rounded fret ends. Okay, so when I'm talking about rounded hemispherical fret ends, this is what I'm referring to. If you look at this fret that I just installed onto this fretboard, you'll notice the ends have been rounded over instead of having that beveled shape. And the technique for producing this used to involve a lot of careful and precise file work. And while it works well, it can be really time consuming. And I wanted something that was going to be a lot faster. Now this technique that I use requires that you do these rounded fret ends before you install them into the fretboard. So just be aware of that. This isn't really something you can do if the frets are already pressed in. So just keep that in mind. Okay, to do this technique, you're going to need a Dremel, and it doesn't matter whether it's a single speed or variable speed. You're also going to need a mandrel, and this is a Dremel number 402. It's an 1/8 inch shaft with a capture screw at the end. You're also going to need one of these diamond grinding bits, and this one in particular, and this is very important, it has a very small ball shape at the end that's coated with the diamond particles, and this ball is about 1/8 of an inch in diameter, so that's what you need to use for this technique. Usually these are included in those sets that include a variety of different shaped grinding bits, but I think you can also find them individually, and you might want to pick up a couple of them. Then you're going to need an abrasive polishing disc, and the discs that I use, these are abrasive impregnated silicone rubber polishing discs, and this one is 7/8 of an inch in diameter. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, and this is how they look right out of the package. I buy them in bulk. I get about 25 to a pack, and they usually cost, I'm going to say less than $10. It's not very expensive at all. But we can't use the disc as it comes out of the package. It's got to be prepared for the process that we're going to be doing to round over those fret ends. And what I do is I dish out the edge, and I don't know if you can see it, but I've dished out all the way around the perimeter of this disc so that it's kind of a half circle, kind of a U shape. And that was done using that diamond coated ball shaped grinding bit. What I'm going to be doing is spinning the disc in the Dremel and then just touching it with the end of this ball, which will grind out that shape and give us that kind of half circle shape. So I will demonstrate that. In order to prep the disc for this technique, I have to first attach the disc itself to the mandrel and tighten the screws so that it's firmly held in place. The mandrel is then installed into the collet on my Dremel and tightened down. Then I place the Dremel into a vise and clamp it. Now this is really important. The orientation of the Dremel is critical for safety purposes. As you can see, the grinding disc is on the right side of my vise, and if you look closely here, just below the collet locking nut, you can see an arrow, and that arrow indicates the direction that the bit is going to be turning. And that's really important, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this grinding bit to form that concave half circle U-shaped channel all the way around the perimeter. And to do that, I'm going to be placing the bit against the lower part of this disc on the side that I'm standing on. And if for some reason the bit were to catch and onto this disc, the momentum of it is going to pull the bit and throw it down to the floor. If I were up top trying to form it, if it caught, it's going to fling the bit back. And if I'm standing here, it's going to shoot it into me. Obviously, we don't want that. So you just need to be aware of the direction that your Dremel is turning, and make sure that you're going to be putting your bit and later on your fret wire on the part of the disc that's turning away from you. Also, for safety purposes, I recommend that you wear some kind of approved eye protection. I like to wear a full face mask, so definitely do that for the sake of safety. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on the Dremel, and then I'm going to take the bit and I'll just touch it to the bottom and watch as that groove starts to form. And that's all there is to it. Now I'm ready to start rounding over the ends of my fret. Before I can round over the fret ends, the first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that my fret wire has been radiused appropriately to match my fretboard. Then I have to cut it to match precisely the width of the fretboard where this particular piece of fret wire is going to be installed. So what I do is I just make sure that the fret wire is coming right up to the edge the end of it is coming right up to the edge. And then I take my fret nippers and I butt them right up against the fret wire. And then I'll snap it off and cut it to length. Now if you look closely, you'll notice that my fret slots stop short of the edge of the fretboard. That allows me to have a very smooth edge to the fretboard, which is very similar to what you get when you bind a fretboard. But this has been cut using a CNC machine, so it's pretty clean. But as a result, I need to trim the fret tang short of the edge of the fret wire. And I'm going to do that with my handy little fret tang nipping attachment for my drummer. Okay, so after grinding off the tang on the ends of the fret wire, I'm ready to round it over into that hemispherical shape using the modified abrasive disc that I made earlier. And the way I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to take just the very edge, the very end of that fret wire with the crown side up, and I'm going to touch that into that groove that goes around the circumference of the disc. And I'll press it into that and I'll move it back and forth, and at the same time I'll gradually roll it over from one side to the other side. And what this will do is it will form a consistent round over so that we have this perfect hemispherical shape. And this will happen very quickly, so this is how it works. And that's all there is to it. It's fast, it's efficient. Now you'll notice there's some discoloration on there, but that'll all come off when I polish it. So what's left to do now is just to simply press the fret into the fretboard, and then after I've got all the frets installed, I'll level it and then recrown the frets. And then I'll just take a little bit of probably some 600 grit wet dry paper and just touch up where the leveling and crowning may have affected the round over. So, but that's really all there is to it. It's that simple and it's that fast. So if you've always wanted to do these rounded hemispherical fret ends, give this technique a try. It's like I said, really quick and simple. Well, that concludes this episode of From the Luthier's Workbench. But before I sign off, I thought it was a good idea to mention that a lot of the tools and techniques that I demonstrated here were developed really within the last week. As a result, I haven't had a chance to really put these techniques and tools through extensive testing. But I did manage to do the fret installation on this neck, and this is a 7-string multi-scale. All the frets are stainless steel, and I used my fret tang nipping attachment to nip off the ends of the fret tangs on all the frets. And then I used my abrasive sanding disc technique to round off the ends of the frets to create that hemispherical fret end shape. And for the most part, I didn't have any issues doing this work. In fact, I was really happy with how everything turned out and with how it progressed. Especially the round over technique with my abrasive grinding polishing disc. I didn't have any issues at all. It worked pretty smoothly. With respect to the fret tang nipping attachment, it works pretty well, but there's a few improvements I think I need to make. And really, I think what it comes down to is I've got to break down and have one made out of aluminum. I think it would work a lot better if I did it that way. But we'll see. You know, that's something I'll think about doing down the road. But for those of you who have watched this video and the one I did last week, episode 35, if these techniques intrigue you or inspire you, I encourage you to try them out. And if you have maybe some suggestions or some better ideas on how to improve the techniques and the tools, please let me know. You know, post in the comments below, share some video. anything that you could do to advance these tools and techniques benefits all of us. And that's really what it's all about, sharing information so that we can all improve. And then ultimately, especially if you build guitars for a living, your customers are going to be the ones who benefit the most. So until next week, I hope you get a chance to get in the shop and do some guitar building. And I'm not sure really what I'm going to talk about in the next episode of From the Luthier's Workbench. I've got a lot of different ideas. I just need to decide what order to present them in. So we will see you next week. Take care.